Hello, you're watching AvenueX, and today let's talk about the recently finished airing Chinese drama, 繁花, Shanghai Blossoms. This is a 30-episode contemporary drama that aired at the end of 2023 on the web platform Tencent, also including 2 different satellite television stations. It is directed by the famous Hong Kong movie director Wang Jiawei. It is based on the novel written by the author Jin Yucheng, who wrote this book back in 2012. And this is also a book that has gotten 2015's 茅盾文学奖, which is a very, very, very high-level literature award within China. The current 30 episodes of television series that we see is only a part of the already finished making 繁花. While Wang Jiawei was making the drama, he was also shooting the film version at the same time. So there is a film version of Blossoms that should show up not so far down the road, although it hasn't been really announced yet when that may happen. This is a very unique drama and probably the most unique drama I've seen since I started my channel back in 2017. Therefore, it's almost impossible to put it into my usual 7-level scale, rating scale, and say what this drama should be. It is not a perfect drama, so in any sense I wouldn't give it a 3 gold mine, but if you give it a 2 gold mine, is it comparable to other 2 gold mine dramas? Not really. This director doesn't come with the baggage of the traditions and what is expected for television series coming from Chinese mainland. And his work is unique and his own, like all his movies. If you're familiar with Asian cinema, you know he's so special. He is one of a kind, and usually it's either you love him and love his style so much that you just don't think anybody else in this world compares to him, or you just totally don't get him. Since this project is so unique and there really isn't another one that can be compared to it, I will not do the usual good and bad thing with my reviews. I will just talk through points. First, let me quickly talk about a couple of creative background information points about this drama. As I said already, it's based on a novel that is quite highly claimed, but very unique. A type of novel that's almost impossible to get adapted into visual form. It is very scattered. It has a lot of dialogues. It has many characters. It has 2 different timelines. One is in the 1960s during Cultural Revolution. The other is in 1990s. For the adaptation of this 30 episodes television series, they focused only on the 1990s timeline. The other big change between the book and the drama is they seriously condensed stuff down, picked only a couple of angles and stories that the original novel has, and then reduced many characters down to the ones we have. For example, in the book, if you have to pick who is the main male lead, it actually involves 3 people. In the drama, you only have Hu Ge playing Abao, who is one of the 3 main male characters in the book. There was a rumor about very early on in the creation process of adapting, Wang Jiawei actually wanted to make the story from 3 different angles, having 3 different main characters, as the book has, all played by Hu Ge, and it's made into seasons. Season 1 is Abao, Season 2 is Hu Sheng, Season 3 is Xiao Mao. But eventually it didn't pan out that way, so we have only Abao, played by Hu Ge, as the main character. In the adaptation process, they actually made the drama originally completely shot in Shanghai dialect. Then, for the general distribution of this drama, they do dub it with Mandarin, with the actors themselves in post-production. So you have 2 versions that's on China's Tencent, and you can pick which one you want to watch. When they dub it, they actually sometimes reduce the live recording on set because they just don't have the material that's clean enough as the background track. So what you will have is sometimes movement, rustle of clothing, putting down utensils, all those noises that's captured in live recording and in the Shanghai dialect version is not in the Mandarin version. Sometimes they just miss the details and it feels very different. If you have access, please watch it in the Shanghai dialect version. Wang Jiawei himself is actually a Shanghai local native person born there. Up to about 5 or 6 years old, his whole family immigrated to Hong Kong. So he speaks perfect Shanghai dialect. He understands all the vocabularies and the vibe and tone of Shanghai very well, although most of his lifetime he didn't spend in Shanghai. When he finally got this project rolling, he actually put a lot of effort into research in the 1990s, trying to replicate its looks and its props and architecture, rebuilt a whole street in the famous Chedun, Yingshичeng, where most of the Mingguo Shanghai dramas are shot these days. And the whole drama took, technically speaking, from 2020 April to 2022 January official shooting time. Although after that, they went back to reshoot so many times with so many different actors that up to 2023, mid-2023 last year, they were still reshooting. Very classic Wang Jiawei thing, and he's known for that. He's known for waiting for hours for airplane to fly by so that he can get a perfect shot, doing 30, 40, 50, 100 takes of the same scene over and over again and torture the actors, quotation mark, to the point that they just don't know what they should be doing, and then come back next day and keep doing that. So no surprise that this 30 episode drama, at least the final edited version that we see today, took pretty much 3 years to shoot, just to shoot. And if you count the preparation time, it's easily 6 years. And if you count into the fact that when he first got in contact with the original author, easily 10 years. So with all that in mind and all the background stories and looking forward to a super long video from AvenueX, let's now get to talk about the actual drama, 繁花, Shanghai Blossoms. First, let's come down to the most obvious and everybody is talking about. And the first thing you'll notice with this drama is its visuals. It looks so different from every Chinese drama you've watched before. And the first thing that would make the difference, I would say, is the lighting. The type of expensive, take a long time, and not easy to do, and dramas usually can't afford to do type of lighting. Simplest way to describe it is it gives you the sense of it's more like oil paintings than photographs, and it's highly designed. Every shot, every scene is lit with the intention of where to direct the audience's eyes, on a person or on a thing at an angle, and what's the mood it wants to generate, and all the details in the shot, what may get in the way of audiences getting the point, therefore they will take it out or hide it in shadows, and what needs to be emphasized and brought out, they will use very strong light to create that very high contrast. So if you watch it in Dolby, it's even more. And that kind of lighting basically says a lot about you have to work with production design to have everything in the shot arranged in a way so that you can have the result. The whole drama is shot with a single camera, which is almost impossible to do now. No other drama is doing, as far as I know. Every shot you see is a new setup. If they change framing, they change positions of a camera within a scene, it's a new setup. It's relit every time. Not surprisingly that it took 3 years. Color is also highly selective and then highly post-production processed to give that consistent yellow, warm, rich, very dreamy look. In terms of moving camera, this drama does it, in my opinion, too much. 90% of the time, the camera is not staying still. It's moving horizontally, it's moving, pushing in and out, it's moving from top down or down to the top, on a crane, on a track, on Steadicam, like whatever, it's moving. It doesn't have the handheld look that you have in a lot of action movies. But apart from that, it has all the other movement you can think of that is smooth and that's been mechanically adjusted. And sometimes I even doubt whether they did it just in post-production. So if you are actually very sensitive to the spatial movement of things, it may be very hard for you to deal with. You can even get dizzy feeling, because my father said he can't watch his drama. He said he watches it and he feels he's about to fall off a cliff. And some people will have that reaction, so be aware of that. And the other thing that's within the framing of those moving shots is 80% of the time, something is in the foreground, out of focus. Usually it's something transparent. Could be a glass, could be crystal, could be some kind of decoration or a mirror, that it's just like in the foreground, always there. And it's another very Wang Jiawei thing, but I think it's overused in this drama, and sometimes it really doesn't have any narrative purpose at all. It's just there because I guess they like looking at that type of look. So this drama is oversaturated with moving shots and things in foreground. I feel if it's a film, 90 minutes, 120 minutes, you have all the excuses to get away with it. It's your style, it's fine. But watching a drama with that many hours that all look like this can be a little bit too much. Another thing with the editing of this drama is it has a lot of jump cuts, also happening for no good reason. Usually jump cuts are done to emphasize the type of emotion, the urgency, and it doesn't happen all the time in the drama. It happens in one particular scene that's important and needs that energy. This drama, no, it jump cuts everywhere. Sometimes I feel it's because they cover a scene conversation with too many angles. Usually a conversation, you cover it with 3-4 angles, it's enough. No, they will cover it with 10 angles. Single camera, too many setup, Probably they have too many takes as material, so they eventually want to cut them all in. Therefore, within one simple scene, you have so many different angle changes, jumping the axis, which usually shouldn't be happening for drama making, but it's Wang Jiawei, everybody forgives that. Plus, Wang Jiawei also has this famous look of drop frame look, which basically is a very jittery look that kind of doesn't have that many frames within a second. Olden days, he did it because he wanted to save film stock that are expensive. These days, digital, you don't really have to do it, but it becomes a signature of his looks, therefore he does it in this drama a lot. It definitely tests some people's limit of how far they can endure the visual bombardment of things. For me, for my taste, I wouldn't really want this to be this over the top, but then because of the good things it does that other dramas don't do, I can kind of forgive it, which comes down to the last thing in the visuals. Yes, just in the visual department. This drama just makes all the actors look 10 times better than everything they've been in previously, particularly the women. Tang Yan, Ma Yili, Xin Zhilei, particularly Xin Zhilei. I think there's no argument here. She kind of blew up because of how pretty she looks in Wang Jiawei's camera since the airing of Blossoms. We all know Xin Zhilei being this very interesting actress from the early days when she showed up in Brotherhood of Blades that impressed a lot of people. Fighting skills in that one shot, that's killer. She's also played very typical concubine dramas such as Ru Yi, and slightly different than the normal, let's say, aesthetics of skinny, pale, young look girls that Dramaland has these days in China. She has that extra factor, the super sexy, the animal, that big cat, a lion or tiger kind of energy of hers, and Wang Jiawei just brings that out fully. In an interview herself said she's so impressed by how pretty she looks in this drama that she doesn't even believe that's herself. Like she would be looking at monitor and then questioning, is that me? Can I actually look this good? Her clothing can be analyzed by fashion experts for just like a big video, just to look at all the animal patterns she has, the furs, and then her jewelry and her hair, her makeup, the lighting that makes her face just look so much more interesting than she ever looked like in anything. And it applies to pretty much every actor and actress that this drama makes them look so good. And she is just the most obvious example. And when I was watching the drama constantly, I would feel if I were that actress, I would be thinking, it's all worth it. No matter how much pain I've gone through making this drama, the 3 years and the constant 40 takes or whatever, I'd be still so happy and grateful at the end of it because I have this in like what, Dolby Vision 4K left for the rest of time and considering human civilization. And then when I'm like 100 years old, great-grandmother of so many kids, if that happens, I can tell them, it's like, look at your great-grandmother. When I was young, I looked this good. And just for that, this drama has irreplaceable value in Dramaland. So if you want to look at very pretty people who are made even prettier, you should watch this drama. Moving away from the visual department, let's get to the music department. I would only talk about 2 points. First is there is this theme music in this drama that gets used, in my opinion, over the top too much. Whenever there's a very intense plot moment, it has that background music going in, and it's the main theme of this drama that it does get pointed out that it sounds quite like the music from the very well-made series Succession. You can go and watch both and then decide personally, right? Like whether that's a problem. Put that aside, basically because the story is set in 1990s and there are so many classic pop songs from 1990s that's mainland but mostly from Hong Kong that were super influential. I've watched a couple of videos of people guessing how much copyright money they've spent Blossom this drama to buy the copyright of those songs, and it adds up to easily a couple of millions of US dollars. As the story moves towards the later part, it will have more and more of those songs. For younger audiences, probably they wouldn't really resonate that much, but if you are already alive, in 1990s, with an old enough age to remember, it's gonna jog so much memory. In a way, I think it's an easy way out for the drama. They use the music to add an atmosphere, and with a scene that may not be dramatically, narratively that interesting, when you have the music in the background, boom, it hits you. And sometimes a drama maybe only just by 1 or 2 songs that jogs your memory and it's enough of 1990s. This drama has over 50 extra points for this drama. It's an easy way to do it, and maybe you can call it cheating when you have money, right? You cheat, but holy, I So appreciate that they cheated this way. And then we have to talk about plot, right? And characters and performances. So let's just lump sum that into one big point. The plot. Is it an interesting enough drama considering it's Wang Jiawei, who is known to not care about plot? Actually, the drama is. It is not slow at all. Sometimes it's too fast, particularly as it moves beyond the first 6-7 episodes setting up the characters and atmosphere. Once it goes to the stock exchange of Shanghai, plot and the Huanghe Road restaurants fights are actually very exciting and very plot heavy, and things keep happening. So you won't get bored. Don't worry about that. You may even find it's hard to follow up sometimes because it cuts and it jumps forward very, very fast. But is it well made? When it's actually quite condensed and has a lot of things going on, I would say not really. If you're just looking from a narrative perspective of how well it's all stringed together, it hasn't really balanced it out very well. Often you find the super exciting plot is jacked up by the background music and the camera language, but actually the plot itself is not as interesting, whereas it actually has the best part happening in small spaces like a restaurant or a hot pot or a dinner, and people are sitting there and talking. There are very Shanghai dialect heavy talks and vocabulary slangs that's being used, and people talk over each other and they're talking about little things in their life, personal relationships, remembrance of the days past and all that. Those moments are golden between the actors and characters. More interesting in those smaller moments than the big plot of, oh, stock exchange and then two parties are like killing each other over phones, right? So plot-wise, narrative-wise, there's definitely more improvement room for this drama to be even better. If you're very picky on those, you wouldn't really consider this drama's plot to be that well worked out and smooth and very skillfully done, but it probably wouldn't bore you. That's how I would put it. Then in terms of the characters, Hu Ge did a good job as the main lead, where he basically shoulders the poster and the brand name on him. And in other ways, I think he is just the perfect choice. You can't find another actor who fulfills all the requirement of playing this character. Right age, good looks, very good reputation, and popularity-wise, everybody knows who Hu Ge is in China, and who also is from Shanghai, who can make a convincing Abao. Therefore, I think he's just the perfect cast in this case. But if you have to say whether he's the best actor, probably not. There are better actors in this drama. Age, experience, and particular roles they're playing. For example, you would say the old guy, Ya So, who's played by the most veteran actor working today in Chinese film and drama. He's 90 years old, was Ji Gong in the 80s television series that is known by every Chinese person. He just needs to sit there. Camera is on him, his story. His breathing is story itself. He doesn't need to do anything more, but obviously he does act in drama, and I wouldn't really categorize him as the same type of actor as every other actor in this drama. He belongs to his own level. Then to me, actually, the most impressive actors are Dong Yong, who usually plays the mid-age, losing control of life policeman in most of the other normal Chinese dramas. This time he plays this businessman who is so adorable, who is kind of a little bit too high on too much energy most of the time and a bit overacting and theatrical, but it's perfect for this role, and he is the most beloved role, I think, throughout the whole drama, and everybody who's watched his drama just love his boss, Fan Zong, and his plotline with Tang Yan's plotline is one of the best in this drama. I'm so happy that he got this role. It's so different from every role he's doing in Dramaland. The other one, very impressively, is Fan Yantian, who is not an actress professionally. She actually got herself famous through a debate show that's many years ago in iQIYI. And ever since then, she's done many dramas or films as very extra kind of roles. This drama, she has a very important supporting role, but she did it so well. Thanks to the fact that she's from Shanghai and she can speak this very strong, very effective Shanghai accent. It shows you that when you know where to put people in their most suitable places, such as Wang Jiawei does know how to tune the actors, they can shine in ways that is completely surprising and unexpected. I also would say the other person that really impressed me is Tang Yan. She has always been known, let's be frank, in Dramaland as the wallflower, as the vase, as the pretty but we all know she can't act, but because she's so pretty, we forgive her type of actress. And over the years of her career, she really hasn't done any breakthrough things. She just plays safe and she's sweet and she's pretty, and that's it. And often when the role gets a little bit more challenging, the acting just completely crashes. But she spent 3 years on this project and not taking on any other things, and I think it's the right decision. At least she has this role on screen now that is giving her so much opportunity to show you that she can be an actress and she can play something that is more complicated than what she usually gets dealt with. And particularly the chemistry between her and Hu Ge really worked out very well during a couple of scenes that I think will make everybody cry. If you know the history of these two actors since day one of their career in Dramaland and how many years they've gone through and so many stories people would like to imagine that happened between them. Anyway, there's this scene in this drama, and when you get there, you'll know, you'll laugh, and you'll feel it's real. It's that moment being captured for real. It's between Hu Ge and Tang Yan. It's also between A Bao and Wang Xiaojie. It's the strongest and most interesting role Tang Yan has ever played, and she did the right thing of giving up 3 years of her time just for this role, and it's worth 100 fantasy idol drama goddess who are just like standing there and doing nothing. Oh, and because she is from Shanghai too, so her high-pitched Shanghai dialect noisy voice is also so fitting. When she does the Mandarin dub, if you cut between the two versions, her energy just gets cut like 50% in comparison to when she just blabs it out in Shanghai dialect, like bullets. And so overall, this drama, whether it's the main characters, the super veteran actors, the actors that previously you have questions about whether they can do things, or even the very peripheral actors who are actually not professional actors. They all come together to give you this very textured and layered and complicated picture of different types of people living in this space that makes you believe they're living as Shanghai local people. In the imagined 90s, not really the very realistic 90s, but nonetheless, their air, their tone, their outlooks on life and their attitude is so accurate about being Shanghai people. So at the end, whether this is really a very authentic reflection of 1990s Shanghai, I would say no, okay? Definitely not. But I don't have a problem with it. Because honestly, if you want to go and watch very realistic capturing of the 80s and 90s of China, of the economic shift, of stock exchange reopening, of the total 改革开放 era, there are so many other dramas that do it with a much more realistic and honest lens, like Flowing River last year, or the year before, 风吹半夏. And there are so many 1990s drama, I mean, even last year's 漫长的季节, the long season from Tencent, there's so many realistic lens dramas on what 1990s actually look like everywhere. For Wang Jiawei, I think to him the most important thing is capture the essence, the things that are not really necessarily on the surface. It's more on the emotional level of what Shanghai feels like, what Shanghai people feels like, the language feels like, the kind of ideas about what makes good life, what makes good food, money, friendship, love, like what does it mean to people from Shanghai? The emotional engagement is more important than the appearance. Because this drama actually jamming certain footages that are real, shot in the 80s and 90s in Shanghai. Mix that with the drama, and you can tell when they cut to the actual footage how different things look. The color, right, and the texture of costumes, even the texture of hair, because hair product back then wasn't even a thing. People just use soap to wash, and it tends to make your hair very brittle instead of like sleek and shiny. So if you really want to compare the real quality of whether it's authentic to 1990s, it is not. And so a lot of people complain about this drama, saying this looks more like 民国, like 1940s, 30s Shanghai, instead of 1990s Shanghai. And I would agree, it does appear to be too look, color, lighting, quality-wise, stylized and beautified and Wang Jiawei style than reality. But then, who said Wang Jiawei has the obligation of recreating reality? He is always known to be the director who doesn't really care that much about reality. He cares about that imagined space, the dream space, the cinema space that he can create. And he's famous for that, and people love him for that. You know you're coming in for this highly stylized director's work before you even open the drama, so why are you surprised that you're looking at something that's not really one-to-one replicating reality. It's not a documentary. And also, I think there's an interview that I watched talking about why he would make the drama look the way it is. He said he's trying to recreate not the physical reality of 1990s Shanghai, of the Huanghe Street. He's trying to create the memory in a lot of people's mind when they've actually personally lived through the grandeur of 1990s. And back then, when those people come from a couple of decades of cultural revolution and having no resources and having very limited any type of materials, and suddenly get pushed into this neon lights and extravagant banquets, what the shock feels like, how overwhelmed they would be feeling. So their memory would add that filter and lens to make it a lot more over the top than it actually is. And many years later, if you got used to a much better material life, you go back to that road, you look at the street, things haven't changed, but it looks so much more dilapidated and less posh and crazy. And you realize it's not that the reality has changed, it's you have changed and moved on, therefore the reference point has changed, right? So he's trying to capture the shock a lot of people, when they first experienced the 1990s Shanghai, would feel in their head. So it's not reality, it's that emotional connection. Honestly, we can have 10 other directors doing realistic dramas of 80s and 90s, but then we only have one Wang Jiawei who would get the opportunity to do this book that's a quite well-received novel and adapt it with his style and his idea about beauty and aesthetics, and then obviously his connection, so that he can actually make it happen, get that many famous actors who want to donate 3 years of their time, and the copyrights of 57 songs other dramas can never dream to get. And you want to utilize him as him, that the only unique thing he can do that no other people can do, and that's the value of this drama. So when people criticize this drama about it doesn't really reflect the realistic look of 1990s Shanghai, I'm just like, it's Wang Jiawei, who cares if it's realistic? And I would not want Wang Jiawei to make a realistic drama like Kong Sheng and Li Xue from 正午阳光, right? He needs to make his own stuff, and that's the value of it. And I'm just so appreciative that it happened at the end of 2023, and I enjoy this drama thoroughly. Although there are parts that I don't like and elements of it I'm not a fan of, I still am so appreciative that it exists. It's different from everything else. It's so unique. You can't compare it to anything. And for artistic things, that's the greatest value. It's irreplaceable. It's one of a kind. There's just no other like it. One final thing I want to mention at the end of this video is it's so funny that Wang Jiawei got interviewed after the drama actually did super well on Tencent. He said he's too old to understand the popular culture, but he got introduced to live comment because of the airing of Fanhua, and he would actually sat there and read live comment till like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and making notes about what people talk about when a particular scene happens, right? What are the things people notice and what are the commentary? Like, this is the type of creator you hope you can become when you're old and you're still curious and you're still learning things and you're still getting feedback and interested in that to help you create your future work. And that is, I mean, for a lot of younger people who work in this industry, they're already very old at heart and they don't bother to do this. And Wang Jiawei would be at this age and at this sort of status and positioning in the industry, still learning things and taking feedback in. It's very interesting. Also, while the drama is airing, he took all the advices from stuff he sees and he's re-editing the drama as it goes. So actually, the drama on Tencent is being updated slowly when he thinks certain episodes need to get fixed thanks to a digital age. But that will make the task of finding the versions really complicated now. So that's everything I can think of that I've collected and noticed I've been thinking about of the drama Fanhua Blossoms. Yeah, it's a long video, but it is the most unique drama from Chinese Dramaland since I started this channel, so I think it totally deserves a super long video, and I would recommend you check this drama out for a bit. Not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. My mother can watch it, my dad cannot stand looking at the screen of this drama. That shows you like how divided it can be, but it's so different from everything else. Therefore, just because of that, it's at least worth your attention and time for a bit. Thank you for watching AvenueX. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.